Hi, hi, hi! Hi, my friends. Oh boy, we give the seal of approval to this episode because joining us in the neighborhood. Remember to unmute your microphone when we want to talk to you there. But we have the author of a new book. It's an entertaining book, also a bit on the scholarly side, so it hits both boxes, if you will, and it's all about kind of a lesser known aspect of the showbiz, if you will. Would you believe that there was a period of time when it was a very big thing to have trained seals on talk shows, on the stage, on vaudeville, and even, in a wonderful story in here, on Broadway? Well, this man's great grandfather was a trainer of seals and basically created this whole idea. He wasn't the first person to do it, but really made an industry out of training seals like this one, Sharkey, to be entertainers. Ladies and gentlemen, an entertainer indeed, because not only has this man, Gary Bohan Jr., written this book, he's also a musician himself and has played klezmer music with some really wonderful people. So would you please welcome to the neighborhood on this Shabbos, Gary Bohan Jr. Shalom!
Shalom. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome, and we are most delighted and thrilled to talk about your book. So the thing is, it's one of those things, because years ago on this program, we had the grandson of singer, songwriter Benny Bell. You know Benny Bell from Shaving Cream and all those novelty songs, and you don't know who that is?
No, actually, I do not.
Oh, well, there goes that anecdote. But the point was, it skipped a generation. It wasn't Benny Bell's son who wrote the book about his biography and told, oh, this is the guy who wrote Pincus the Peddler. This is the guy who wrote Shaving Cream. It was the grandson. You skipped like two generations.
Yes.
About your own family. Well, how did this coalesce into actually writing this book about your family and seals?
Well, growing up, we as a family didn't really talk about seals and this whole lineage, if you can imagine that. And it was another podcaster actually that contacted me because he wanted to do a story about Sharkey. And I said, well, you really need to talk to my father, which he did. This goes back to 2015 because maybe it was brought up 2 or 3 times during my childhood. So I didn't have anything to really tell the guy. So he talks to my father, doesn't really go into anything. And then the podcast comes out about 3 months later. This is now November of 2015. And I listen to the podcast and my jaw drops. I'm thinking, how could I not know this?
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's good that your dad at least had the stories and because again, it's all about not even his dad, but his dad's dad that should be
true.
Yeah,
that's right. Although it's actually in part about his dad as well.
Oh, okay.
Because he got into the business. He was my great grandfather's son-in-law. So my grandfather, do the math and it works out.
Math is useless. So let's get right to it. There's a fellow named Ewing, your great grandpapa, was like suddenly got involved with seals. Talk to me.
And it was suddenly. He was a young man. He was 23 years old, wanted to become an electrician. So him and his 2 brothers are off to the city of Buffalo. They grew up in the outskirts of Buffalo, and on their way, they stopped by a friend. It was the their uncle's wife's brother. Some more math for you.
All right. Okay.
Right. So they stopped by his place, and he happened to be a SEAL trainer. A world-renowned.
Let me stop you right there. So that was already happening. People were already figuring out, oh, a seal is cute and can do tricks. Do you know where that really to start with Eskimos? I mean, who looked at a seal on the ice somewhere and said, "Oh, if you put a ball on its nose, that's gonna be fun." Who
Well,
thinks of that?
it largely started with this guy, my great grandfather's uncle's wife's brother. So in the late 1800s, wouldn't you know it, just through serendipity, they stop by his house. He's looking for some assistance.
Yeah.
And my great grandfather and two of his brothers say, why not?
Why not? Yes.
Why not? And wouldn't you know it, they take to it. They take to it real fast. And this fellow who got him into the business, he soon retires. They buy him out. And the next thing you know, they're traipsing all over the world.
Now, here's what I don't understand. Like, seals are incredibly cute, and they're slick, and they're adorable, right? Okay, they're fine. But, one thing you're told is, oh, seals are also, they're not cuddly little, they bite you. They're horribly vicious animals. What makes certain people be able to go to a seal and go, here, play cards. Here, toot this horn. And other people like just swimming along and a seal bites their leg off.
No, it's true, and it's a good question because it's paramount to their training techniques. They bonded with the animals, and that's really was the first thing they did. Well, really the very first thing they did was they had to teach the seal, like you said, not to bite.
Yeah,
that was a thing.
Yeah,
that was a thing. So if you can imagine this, true, and I've got pictures of it. They would dress up in armor.
Wow.
And with articulated at the elbows and the knees, and they'd let the seals hack at them.
Okay.
And then
what a way people earn a living. The guy who does this, he sits at a desk all day and sends emails. What do you have to do tomorrow, Dave? Oh, I gotta put on reticulated armor and have an animal biting me all morning. Oh boy, what a life I lead. Wow.
So as my great grandfather said, once the seal figures out that biting the boss is harder than opening up a can of sardines, they stop. And so they did have to be tamed out of the wild.
What is the most complicated trick that you can teach a seal to do?
There was a couple complicated tricks. For me, I think in terms of Sharkey, who's the main character of my book,
he could type a novel. It's amazing.
He could just about. He had a lot of complicated tricks that he was able to do. Some of them were balancing. He had a music feature. There was my great grandfather built a homemade instrument that had buzzer bells and taught Sharkey how to play music on the homemade instrument. But really, I think what the most complex thing Sharkey did was he was a comedian. And that was really his calling card. So he was able to oftentimes work on stage without my great grandfather there being present. And he was, more often than not, I've got so many anecdotes and of him actually improvising. So he would not only, he had certain things he had to do that were part of the script. You talked about being on Broadway, and Sharkey was on Broadway.
That story, we have to tell that story. Let's tell the story now, because this is one of the funniest chat. Yes. He was much more talented than Ed McMahon. I'm much more talented. That's not saying much, but here's the thing.
Sharkey actually worked with Ed McMahon
on the Carson show.
No, actually, before Ed McMahon was Johnny Carson's sidekick, he was on this show called Super Circus.
All right, that's the one place a seal does make sense.
Yeah.
You have a show called Super Circus, but having a Broadway musical, right, written by two of the most important Broadway musical songwriters of their time and really of all time. Please, I know it's in the book. I know we want people to buy the book, Sharkey from SUNY Press. I mean, it's a fantastic chapter. But if you can just summarize the setup of how Sharkey made it to Broadway, it's amazing.
It really is. And, it's, and I won't divulge any spoilers. In fact, as you know, that's how I start the book. I start the book telling you that Sharkey was minutes away from making history. He had made it to Broadway. Only the raising of a curtain separated him from his destiny. That's how I start off chapter 1. So the arc of the story isn't so much what, I tell the reader what, it's how. How does someone that just 2 years earlier was happily swimming in the coastal waters of the Pacific.
Well, drugs basically brought Sharkey low later on. Because no, actually, they taught one of the things they taught seals to do was smoke, and as soon as Sharkey went on the crack, it was downhill. He was doing crank. He was hanging with Richard Pryor. It was bad. But
but like my great grandfather said, Sharkey smoked. He did smoke, but he didn't smoke in bed.
Did he inhale? Did he ever look? That's an old joke. All right, no, but okay, but again, set us up. You've got two incredibly important Broadway songwriters who get news that their next show, and they're off 2 hits. They're like at the top of their game, and they're like, oh, by the way, this is what's going to happen in your next musical. Please.
Right. So and the 2 artists we're talking about are none other than Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart. Rodgers and Hart.
I've heard of them. Have you? Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay.
And they were, like you say, they were a Broadway hit factory.
Yeah.
And they were writing show after show. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to have multiple shows. In fact, the show that Sharkey did, when that show opened, they had another show running simultaneously, Too Many Girls, starring Desi Arnaz. That's the show that put Desi.
Hope he wasn't one of the girls. No,
yeah. Desi Arnaz got his start on Broadway.
And he had a ball.
And in fact, later that year,
yeah,
Too Many Girls they made into a movie, and Desi Arnaz met someone named Lucille Ball.
There you go.
And the rest is history. So Desi Arnaz is on Broadway doing a Rodgers and Hart play.
Rodgers and Hart show, yeah.
And then Sharkey gets onto Broadway, and there's a lot of twists and turns if you've read the book. That when it sounds like you've got.
But give us a little forspice. That Rodgers and Hart were kind of ordered to incorporate a seal into their musical. They didn't want to do it. Am I right?
Well, not only did they not want to do it, they didn't know it was happening. Oh, so Sharkey was trained in upstate New York, in Kingston, New York. It's about 90 miles north of New York City. And right next to Kingston is Woodstock.
Okay.
The real,
not too far. I love the area.
Right, right. So wouldn't you know it, a Woodstock playwright sees Sharkey performing at a small library fair. A couple of weeks later, this is story, you cannot make this up. A couple of weeks later, she gets the call from someone who's writing the book for this upcoming Rodgers and Hart play. This guy is he's getting busy, he's running into difficulties of his own. So this playwright, Gladys Hurlbut, gets the gig to write the book for the next Rodgers and Hart musical comedy. And she's just seen Sharkey. So she hits on this idea that she's going to add Sharkey to the show.
Right. I mean, there's this idea of, I guess a writer gets inspired, and also the writer knows, there's about 10, 15 minutes now in the second act I really don't have to worry about. You just put the seal on the stage, it does tricks, and then I just wrap everything up after a song or two.
Right, except that's not the way it really went down. Sharkey didn't do a whole bunch of tricks like you might think. She actually wrote him into the cast. So he had a part. He had a part to execute.
And it was Othello, so it was a really messed up. No, I
and so she didn't really exactly tell anyone, and they all show up for rehearsals. And Lorenz Hart, as I point out in the book, Lorenz Hart is fuming. Oh. And he's also boozing. And it's one calamity after the next. It's really just a tragedy of errors, this poor show. And they've got the best people in stagecraft. I know this is a theater-based podcast, so Robert Alton is doing the choreography. Lucinda Ballard is doing the costume designs, multiple Tony Award winner. Joe Melziner is doing the sets. I think he won a ton of Tonys. The Tonys, when this play went on in 1940, the Tonys hadn't arrived yet. But so it's the best people in stagecraft. It's Rogers and Hart. The three principals are Jack Haley, who had just got done doing The Wizard of Oz as the Tin Man. Shirley Ross, just coming off a bunch of Hollywood films with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and Marta Eggert, operetta star from from Hungary. So it's a star-packed show, but it's one, the wheels are falling off every which way, and I won't go into exactly how. I'll save that for those reading the book. And it gets, and on a wing and a prayer, it gets to opening night.
Right. And you know, we won't even say what happened, but it's a wonderful story, and go figure, just the way Broadway, you get you know, the light snatched from the jaws of near tragedy, and then what was supposed to be like, how on earth are you going to put a seal into a Broadway musical, becomes in some ways the reason to see that Broadway music. I wish there were more seals in Broadway music. It would be very tough to put them in Cats.
Right.
Cats would be tough because they eat the seal. It would be a bloodbath because, you know, fish and cats. But ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the author of Sharkey, Gary Bohan Jr., When Sea Lions Were the Stars of Show Business, available from SUNY Press. Now, you know, Gary, also I just want to ask, though, tons of seals do tricks, right? They got this particular one. He was like the runt of the litter. He didn't even know why the guy sold it to him. What did Sharkey, what magic, what made him the Ethel Merman of seal actor people? But I can't believe I just said that. But you know what I mean.
Well, you know, Sharkey, he was a jock. He was the class valedictorian. And he was a comedian. He was the class clown.
You say class valedictorian. Can you also explain the reference, because your grandpa set up a school, if you will?
He did. He set up a college. He set up which he called Seal College. So at the onset of the show, I heard you and your wife were talking about
Dave's wife.
Dave's wife's. My apologies. Talking about were they in a pool or things of that sort. So this college had several pools. It had a main tank and it had two smaller tanks. And were these sea lion seals, that they were one and the same. Sharkey was really a California sea lion, but back in the day, they called them seals.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, because they are different creatures, believe it or not. They're not exactly the same. The flipper's a little different on a seal versus. At least I looked this up. I'm not wrong about this.
No, you're exactly right. It's the seals. The sea lions are more. They're better able to get around. And
by the way, how many times in your life have people told you the walrus and car joke? How many times have you? Why is the walrus like a gasket in the car? Because they both like a tight seal. How many people have told you that joke?
I've heard the Tupperware version, but yeah.
Well, yes, of course. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Yes. Continue. I don't even know what that but continue. Well, no, again, if you have a Broadway show, right, and you're putting a seal in it, is there a giant tank backstage and he goes in there and he comes out? What happened? I mean, what do you do with a seal when he's not on stage?
So a seal, sea lion seal, they can be out of water for a certain period of time.
Okay, for how long? Like,
I don't know exactly how long, but enough where Sharkey actually knew when to come on stage. So he could tell by the music when he was due.
That's fantastic. I love it.
So he would hang out backstage with the boys in the boys' dressing room. And without any prodding from his trainer, he would amble on over to the stage when his part was due, and then he'd go and do his scene.
And then he'd go back and he'd win at poker. It was amazing he could do it. No, there is one story also early in the book that made me kind of mad because I'm wondering about how long a seal can be out of water. That one in previews when the show was, or like the day before opening night or whenever it was, he was stolen.
He was. There were tryouts, just like they are today. So before they went to Broadway, they had tryouts first in New Haven, then they went to Boston. And Sharkey was kidnapped, seal napped.
Well, at least it wasn't squid napped. Yeah, a little comedy there.
And again, I'll save the details because it's really one of the craziest stories in the book, as you know.
It made me because he literally I won't tell. I'm not gonna give it away. We want people to buy the book, but he's really taken away from the theater. He's on city streets, and I have to wonder what the hell that does to the underside of a seal that's just kind of used to being on ice or water. I'm amazed he wasn't somehow physically damaged by the experiment.
And he wasn't.
It was fun. He was stolen. It was a stunt. It was a thing, but he was okay.
No, he was scampering through the streets of Boston,
right?
Because his seal nappers lost control of him, and he escaped.
That's what happened. Yes, yeah.
And he ended up in a Harvard University dorm in a bathtub. Well, and that's where the cops found him.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, not only was he in a I mean, as long as we're giving away the story, somehow nobody else did this for him. He went into a bathtub and turned on his own water.
Oh my God.
That was one of his tricks, yes. He was able to draw himself a bath.
Could he mix a martini?
He probably could if he had a thing big enough. What a story of this.
Wow.
So, let me.
Talented, Sharkey.
It was amazing. I mean, did you ever, when you were gathering all this information, when you were learning about your family, when you were thinking about even writing this book, did it occur to you? I mean, have you gone with seal people and watched them train seals? Did you do some stuff with actual seals yourself, or is this all just research?
It was all just research. In fact, I knew so little about my family's heritage. I can remember just taking my kids to see a trained seal show. And the thought didn't even come into my mind that this is what my relatives had done.
Wow.
That's how divorced it was.
No, but once you started writing, did you think, oh, I should probably, wherever the hell they're doing, I should go to SeaWorld and talk to them and see what's involved, and maybe they'll let me, toss some fish or teach you, or even that? Do you just say no?
Yeah, I didn't do it. I thought of maybe going to the Boston Aquarium, but what my great-grandfather had these seals do is so unlike what seals typically do and what you might see a seal do at an aquarium or a theme park. So you've got Sharkey, for example. We already have mentioned that he's on the stage. He's not doing tricks. He's actually executing his part. And I went to the New York Public Library, got a hold of the finalized manuscript. So I had all the reviews, I had the manuscript, and I could see where Sharkey was improvising, him and Jack Haley.
This is so.
I'm looking at the script, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute, he wasn't supposed to do that.
And it was yeah. So, let me ask you, Gary Bohan Jr. Let me also ask you about this after the Broadway show. He's on, not Carson. He's on Sullivan, and he's on tons of TV shows. Just basically Sharkey or the whole school of them.
Just basically Sharkey. Yeah, he was the standout. In fact, when the Nielsen ratings came into play in the early 50s, there was, out of the top 10 shows on television, Sharkey had been on 6 of them.
Wow. And he wasn't even on CPO Sharkey, which was much
he was not.
He didn't even, no, that's.
So he had a huge television presence, and he also was big. He did a lot of theater work.
Wait, what else did he do in the theater? What on earth else? What else could he possibly do in the theater? What show?
In the theater, he had a routine. So he had a routine
Yeah.
And there he would do some of what we would call tricks.
Oh,
And he plays musical instrument. He'd also clown around with the crowd.
because I once saw a couple of otters doing Beckett's Endgame. It wasn't. It didn't. It was a great idea. But didn't have. But the book goes from 1907 to 1958. Is that the year he died, or why suddenly like? Because we don't really think about trained seals much, except in aquariums now. What was sort of
Yeah, so the two dates, quite simply, 1907 is the year where my great grandfather and his two uncles stumbled upon the family friend and got into the business. That was 1907. And then 1958 was the year that Sharkey died.
Oh, okay. So it's really about the Sharkey era as opposed to just the trained seal era. Even though, yeah, I guess it went into the 60s and 70s where you would see, um, maybe we don't see them anymore because there aren't that many kinds of entertainment shows, or it's America's Got Human Talent, and they don't. You know, I don't remember any stupid seal tricks on Letterman, which would have been kind of wonderful if he'd done that.
Yeah, I mean the 50s,
Yeah.
when television got big in the 50s, vaudeville was a big part of the early variety shows, huge part. So that's why you could have someone like Sharkey, who was at the top of his profession. That's why he was doing all the big shows: Sullivan, Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Imogene Coca, people of that sort, and Steve Allen.
I'll share. Like, well, one of the nice things about the book is just full. A little hard to see, but full of photographs. Like every couple of pages, there's Sharkey with famous one. It was it the Three Stooges. There they are. Literally, I said it, and there they are. The Three Stooges. I'm gonna hold that up a little bit closer. See, just and so many. Where did you? Were these from the archives of your family, or did you have to go like getting permission to get these photographs from other sources, from the Times or wherever?
Yeah, that by the way, that last photograph was Lawrence Melchior, who was with the New York Metropolitan and the Danish Royal Opera.
Of course.
And he did a couple of weeks with Sharkey, of course.
Did any of them? I mean, some people I'm sure were like thrilled and adorable, and were any of them like just doing it for the paycheck and like, oh my God, my career was here, and now I'm second tier to a seal?
Well, of course the seals were doing it just for the fish.
That would make sense, yes. But I'm talking about the humans that they were, the famous people that they were with.
My grandfather,
Melchior, or any of them who.
Yeah, and to just to answer your previous question, in terms of where I got the pictures, there was from all sorts of different sources. I got a lot from my father. I got a lot from my uncle. But then I went to archivists. I went to sometimes I get lucky. I find a picture on eBay.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So once you buy the picture on eBay, you can't. I mean, the photographer's dead. I mean, who are you paying just for the photo, and you assume you can use it, or how does that?
Yeah, it depends. Copyright was different back then. So that's the first thing you have to look is whether or not it had a copyright notice. So if it was used as a press photo and didn't have a copyright notice, and it's before I think the year 1978 or something like that, it's considered public domain. Yeah. But some of them did. I got a great shot of one of the sea lions with Buster Crabbe, and it's a Paramount Pictures because they were working for Paramount at the time. One of the seals, and on the bottom is a little copyright notice, so I couldn't use that one. I tried to contact Paramount, but I didn't hear back. But anyway.
Well, would it have been I also wonder about this because SUNY Press is a university. Wouldn't they have taken that? Wouldn't there have been somewhere, or it was all on you to do everything, gather everything, get the permissions?
Yeah, the permissions.
There's an index. I mean, how did you get all the work done as opposed to the writing and the quote unquote fun part of the book?
Right. So the permissions was on me, and I did have to get some permissions. I used a couple of pictures, and a lot of people, when I would contact them, they would just give me the permission at gratis, which was really nice.
Yeah.
That happened a fair amount. And then others, it was a very small fee. And then there was a couple where it was a slightly larger fee, but nothing too prohibitive. But I'd say there's 54 pictures in the book, and I needed, I'm going to say I needed permission probably for about 15 of them.
Okay, well, that's not. How long, when you first said, you know what, this is not just going to be a story I'm going to tell my children. This is not just for me. I'm going to write a book from beginning to end. How long did this take you?
6 years.
Gewalt.
Yes.
If you known it would take 6, well, yeah, I think you would do it again. I think this is the story that you had to tell.
I would absolutely do it again. Yeah, I'm in a different phase now with the book. The book's coming out April 1st. So I'm in a different phase of the journey, if you will. And I try to calculate how much time, it's certainly thousands of hours I put into it.
Well,
but I loved every second.
Well, do you think you'll write another book about something else, or more about your family, or maybe, I don't know, trained walruses? I don't know if they have them. Well, actually, this is also a question that we're thinking about here that came from the gallery, if you will. Have you gotten any blowback in terms of, even though you're writing about history, have you gotten any PETA people or animal rights people fetching and saying, no, you're glorifying, the use of animals in ways that they should not be used, and seals should, it's better than making them into coats, but not that much. Have you heard anything from people like that?
No, I haven't. Of course, the book has not come out yet.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Right. But that could very well be.
Your reply? Would you defend the way seals are treated? Would you say it was another time and they shouldn't have done it, but they did? What would be your defense, or just say, I'll go away?
My first comment to anyone making such a charge at the book would be, have you read the book? Because history is not always as black and white as people think. And especially this story, it's really a bunch of tapestries of gray. There's nothing, and in terms of any notion that the animals were mistreated I fully do away with that. My great grandfather and his 2 brothers, they were in love with these animals. They practically treated them better than humans. They built them their own facilities. The one Sharkey's predecessor, Charlie, had his own facility and his own personal butler. And
he had his own personal,
a caretaker, butler, that used to go on the road with them. And his job in life was to provide for his care and comfort. They had veterinarians, local veterinarians in my hometown that they would take the sea lions to. So
I know now, if I ever don't want to be a rabbi anymore, I know that I'm going to apply. I'm going to go on LinkedIn or Indeed and just get a job as a seal butler. What a life! And any fish he doesn't leave over, I can fry up on a Friday. And just have
there you go. But they
eat herring. I'm in. I'm totally in. Let me, before we bring in. Oh, actually, we are bringing in a moment or two, people to play the Today Yesterday game with Dave, the history quiz that you were staying for, Gary. So, but quick question, but we haven't even talked about your music stuff. You play a cornet. And I sort of think I know what the fuck is a cornet?
I've never had it quite put to me like that.
Oh, you haven't?
It's very similar to a trumpet. It's the same range. It's the same fingering. The bell is a bit more conical, yeah. So it's a slightly softer, mellower sound, but it can still you can still get a biting sound to it like a trumpet. But it's a little mellower than a trumpet, and it blends better. So, for example, in klezmer music, you often find a cornet because you're having to blend with clarinets and violins and accordions, and it was really the instrument, the period instrument of the era back in the day, and it does. I think it does blend.
And you
Better.
play klezmer music with it. Well, you know what, Dave may ask you a couple of quick questions about music too. So, but I have to go. I got to get back to services. I've been holding my congregation for like half an hour now. It's not nice, but it has been so nice talking with Gary Bohan Jr., the author of Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business. Not available yet. Having you on a little early, but April 1st, no fooling, April 1st, this goes on sale from SUNY Press, the university thing right there, is an Excelsior edition. Oh, get it, get several copies. What a wonderful holiday gift for the sea lion lover in your life. And this will be, usually I play klezmer music to come out of this, but this will be music to your ears. Stay right there, Gary. Stay right there. Dave will be here to do more of the Dave's Gone By show.
Peanuts. Is that Sharkey?
That's not seal noises, by the way. That's actually Rabbi Sol farting in the other room. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still here with Dave's Gone By. It's about 10:15 in the morning Eastern time.
Dave has his Playbill pajamas.
He does. Joining us in the neighborhood. First of all, welcome to David Sheward. He's a theater critic for TheaterLife.com and for CulturalDaily.com. Has a blog also called The David Desk. And David,
I believe he works with animals.
no, it works for theater critics. David Sheward, you are going to be talking with, well, hopefully Leslie Hoban Blake and Gary Bohan Jr., author of this book, Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business. And David is the kind of guy who would know this. Can you name the Rodgers and Hart musical?
It's not part of the quiz.
It's not part of that starred Sharkey, the actual live trained seal.
Was it Oklahoma?
Dave, you're muted. Hold on.
Oh, got it. Sorry. Jumbo?
No.
That had an elephant.
You know, that's a great guess because that's Rodgers and Hart.
But that had an elephant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. A sea lion. I Married a Witch?
That makes sense. No.
Dave, is this one of the trivia questions? Because I know the answer.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Their show was I Married an Angel.
This is the
Sorry
warm-up.
about that.
This is the warm-up.
Yeah. Or I Married a Walrus. Or
but,
Leslie.
What's it called? It was Gary. You of course know.
Oh, well, let me think a minute. Rodgers and Hart.
Let me see
If they asked me, I could write a seal about the way you flap your flippers and eat eel.
It's like Sesame Street.
And the audience will know that I eat fish, and to kiss you would be my fondest wish. And I would not be a phony, when I won a Tony as best animal. Oh, okay. What's the show?
Higher and Higher.
Iron Higher?
You have
Higher and Higher. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Higher and Higher. Yeah, it was a Rodgers and Hart show that incorporated an actual seal into not just as a trick thing, but as a member of the cast.
Oh.
Sharkey actually recited whole passages of William Butler Yeats poetry. It was amazing. Yeah. But anywho, welcome, David. How was your week?
Oh, it was fine. Let me see what was going on. Not too much. I did. I have a review. I did see two shows last weekend: English and The Hang by Taylor Mack. And English was very good. It was very entertaining. It was about a bunch of Iranian students in Iran learning English. And The Hang, I thought, looked nice, and it was fun to look at,
Uh-huh.
but very confusing.
Yeah. Well, I saw that. What was the Taylor Mack show he did on Broadway? That
Gary, or a sequel to Titus Andronicus.
Oh, hated it like crazy.
Well, I could see what he was doing. I got the intention, but you know, I heard the hang was like, oh, this is wonderful. It's the best thing that ever happened. I was like, you know, it's interesting, but
It was not well hung, is what you're saying.
ah.
Welcome, Leslie.
Show them your shirt.
Wait,
honey.
Leslie,
To be or not to be.
Invite her, David. Invite her to.
How about an all seal Hamlet?
Thank you. What did I miss? What are you talking about?
An all seal Hamlet.
Oh, I heard that part. What came before that?
James Tyrone Jr. would star in it.
Wow.
Oh.
See, listen, our guest in the neighborhood is Gary Bohan Jr., who's written an entire book about his great-grandfather training seals, including Sharkey, who appeared on Broadway.
Ethically
Oh
trained.
my goodness. Is that Tallulah Bankhead he's with?
Who's that actress, Gary?
It looks like
I
Arlene Dahl
do
or
not
Tallulah.
know.
No, it's not Tallulah Bankhead, but
Maybe it's Arlene Dahl.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything. I don't think the actress is anyone that was well known.
You mean Sharkey didn't make her a star?
No.
Gladys Schlepperman.
The unfortunate and unsung Gladys Schlepperman. Look at that.
You know,
Wow.
Rabbi Sol was talking before about the seal smoking. There he is. He picked up the habit early.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
I've always loved seals. I've always wondered how people could keep a seal in the house. You have to put them in the bathtub, right?
well, yeah. And here's Abbott and Costello.
Tell Leslie that he had his.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, hello. It's nice to meet you.
Good morning.
Down on the lower
you.
left quadrant
Was
of
there
my,
ever-
of my Zoom. I'm
Thank you.
waving
Was there
down
ever a sitcom with a seal as the like pet?
Well, not necessarily a sitcom, but Sharkey did quite a bit of television. There's a great routine he did with Imogene Coca that I talk about at length in the book. And Imogene was really television's first female superstar. You know, she got there a little bit before Lucille Ball, and so Sharkey went on. In fact, he was the special guest with Sid Caesar and Imogene Coca, and Imogene and Sharkey did a skit. The whole thing is hilarious, and
Is
it's
that
all.
I mean, can we go see that on YouTube? Not right now, but is that
it-
available? Is it
If you look hard enough, it is. Yes. Yeah.
Did Sharkey ever work with Lucille Ball?
He did not. No.
She worked with chimps, but she was no fool. She didn't work with seals.
Well, Steele-
My father was her husband's dentist. She was married to King Donovan, Imogene Coca.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
So he
And-
was, yeah.
So I would meet her occasionally, and
Really?
years later, she did an act with him at one of the clubs, the one that Woody Allen used to play at.
She did an act with her dentist.
She did an act with Sid Caesar when he tried to.
Oh, I thought it was a seal. All right, I'm lost.
And
I'm
she
so
was-
okay, yeah.
Sorry, I just got off on Imogene Coca. Forgive me. It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
She was just a kind, wonderful lady. I didn't know her from TV. I knew her as a kind, wonderful lady.
That's nice. Now, you are a kind, wonderful lady, Leslie Hoban Blake. You are a kind, wonderful lady, David Sheward. And
Yes, I am.
I'll say the same for you, Gary Bohan. We are here.
It's the mustache that threw the rest of us off, David.
Let's play the game. This is a trivia game called Today Yesterday. We do it every week, and
Are we in a hurry?
We're always in a hurry. No, we're always in a
But
hurry.
I have one quick question for David and David. With the new rules, with the new the laxing of the rules, that's not a verb, but the letting go of the vaccination and mask rules.
Oh, I thought you were about
Will you continue to go to theater? I understand that the vaccination check will be in until the end of March, and then it's supposed to go. And I wondered how you both feel about that.
Oh, I'm still going to wear a mask, and I'll still go.
Okay, even if they don't check people's vaccination.
Yeah, because
status.
yes, I'll
But
still wear a
then
mask.
All right, I'm gonna try to go during March and see whatever I missed, but I don't know if I want to go at the other. I mean, I just was ready to go back and they took away the rules.
Well, do it before the end of March.
I have
because
to start
everybody will
Monday. I
still
know,
be-
it just
yeah.
happened. Yes, I know.
When
Okay.
I go,
Thank you. I
go-
just wanted to get your opinions on how you felt about it. That's all. I'm
I would-
sorry. I didn't
I-
mean to.
But are they
yeah,
admitting
I'm
seals?
sorry.
Oh, well, yeah.
I
we
needed
bring
your
up
seal of approval. I
Oh,
needed your seal of approval, okay?
That's right there. Yeah, and I'll be up here admitting seals, but not crofts. So that's caused.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Again.
Yeah. Let's tell the rules since Gary hasn't played the game before. It's a trivia game called Today, Yesterday. And it's real simple. It's just everybody gets a question. There's 3 rounds with each of you getting your own question, which is worth 2 points if you get it right. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty, but one of the other contestants gets to steal. Basically, that's it. And then there's a tiebreaker, which you'll need a little piece of paper and a pen or some kind of writing implement to do. No big deal. But Gary, since you are our guest today, our brand new friend of the neighborhood, can you kindly pick a number between 1 and 6 and tell us what it is?
2.
2. Gary squeezing out a number 2. So wait, where's my? we got that. Gary,
Watch out, Gary. You're in for a lot of that before the end of the.
I got a lot of it. And let's see, Leslie Hobang Blake, if you wouldn't mind.
I will take my regular 6, please. Go ahead, make a joke out of that one.
And
I'll say 3.
3. David with a 3. And Leslie, it's because you have 6 appeal. That's why you say that.
Oh, I love you, David.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me get rid of that.
Sorry, Joyce.
That's okay, Leslie. There's enough for David to go around.
More than enough. Oh, look at this. Gary, maybe it's beginner's luck, but we just rolled a 2. We have a digital dice rolling website thing that I click. So the die came up with your number. Would you like to go first, second, or third in the game?
I'll go first.
Wow!
Ballsy
Great
move,
hand.
Gary.
I'm rolling again with a number 4. Doesn't count. Rolling again with a didn't count at all because it didn't roll. Number 5. Let's see what this one comes up as. Number 3. David Sheward. Would you rather go?
I'll be second.
David Sheward second. Leslie Hobang Blake bringing up the
And tell
tuchus.
your guests that he gets no points because
Yeah.
most people don't.
That's right.
I'll be one of those horses where they say, bringing up the rear. Oh, look, she's 2 laps ahead. Oh, look, she's through the gate. That's it. She wins.
That's it. And
That's the one.
My wife Joyce reminds me, Gary, one of the things about this, the game is ridiculous. Some of the trivia questions are actually legit. Some of them are like, you're almost guessing.
Obscure.
A lot of people get nothing.
Aye.
So don't feel bad if you get a goose
I'm
egg.
going to get a pencil and paper while you're talking because I forgot.
Dave, you're telling me the game is ridiculous. You're talking to an author, a biographer of a trained seal. So I'm okay.
Well, in that case, Sharkey.
Excuse me.
So, Gary, this first question goes to you. You chose to go first. So it's a trivia question, and it happens to be a multiple choice. Are you ready?
Did you tell him that the date had something to do with it, or
Oh,
we're not even saying that anymore?
I forgot. One thing that ties almost all of these questions together is that every single thing, every question is based on an event that happened March 5th in history. Today's March 5th, 2022. These all happen on March 5th. For example, your question was March 5th, 1616. Well, it was a tough day for Copernicus's publisher. His book, The Revolution, lands on the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, the church's list of books that Catholics were forbidden to read. That index lasted until 1966, when Pope Paul repealed it. Over the centuries, dozens of astronomers, philosophers, and other authors landed on the banned list. Among them, all of these folks, except who? A. Charles Darwin. B. Immanuel Kant. C. Victor Hugo. D. John Milton.
And Sharkey read all of them.
Sure, yeah. He worked with several, yeah.
One more time, please.
Sure. Who of these was not on this list, this Index Librorum Prohibitorum from the Catholic Church? Was it A, Charles Darwin, B, Immanuel Kant, C, Victor Hugo, D, John Milton?
I'll go Victor Hugo, C.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, Gary, Hugo your way, but I'm afraid I have to go mine, and that is not the correct answer. He was, in fact, on the list. So we're going to roll the die, and we're going to see who perhaps gets to steal the question that came up. Number 5 didn't work. Roll again. Leslie Hoban Blake.
I'm gonna say that the one who was not on the list would be Milton with Paradise Lost. I think the church loved Paradise Lost. I could be wrong. I don't remember. It was too long ago for me to remember.
So is that your final answer?
Yeah, when you read the list, I thought all the others were against the teachings of the church, but Milton's Paradise Lost, it follows the fall of Satan. So
Here we go.
yeah, that's it. I was just pontificating. Go ahead.
Well, it's not Paradise, but unfortunately you lost. Leslie Hoban Blake, he's on the list, or he was. So David Sheward.
All right. All right. Now, okay, so it was between Darwin and Kant. And you probably put Kant in there just so you could say, you can't be right,
Yeah.
darling.
Yes.
Darwin is the obvious choice to have been on the list because he said, origin of species. And it wasn't God, it's nature. So I'll have to go with Kant. I can't go on.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
See, you underestimate me, Dave, because I would make a joke about a dripping wet Kant. But no, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Dave's gone by. Oh!
Yeah, I'm so glad you didn't do that
Too
one.
early in the morning.
And guess what? I've
What?
stumped all of you guys. It was
Really,
the question. The only person
Darwin.
who was
Really?
not on the
Interesting.
Catholic list
Was Darwin?
Yeah,
I guess they didn't bother.
right. Everybody assumed
I
he was on the
almost
list.
got kicked out of Lutheran school for my 8-year-old version of Darwin because our teacher was a minister. Don't ask. My dad was in the army, and we lived in a barracks, and there were no schools, and I wound up in a Lutheran school.
Okay.
It was the lesser of two evils. It was Catholic or Lutheran. My mother thought Lutheran would be better since she was raised a Catholic. Okay.
Leslie,
So all of that.
Yeah.
And my parents had told me at home, an 8-year-old's version of the origin of the species. And when we were doing Adam and Eve in the Bible storybook that I still own, I said, oh, well, that's a lovely story. But my mama said, and then I went, basically I said, we descended from apes. And the minister stood there like this over an 8-year-old child and said, oh, are you trying to tell me that we came from monkeys? And the class went into an uproar. And you can't imagine what the monkey girl things I got in the playground and whatnot.
Yeah.
is Jessica Lange going to do the movie version?
Only if she has a big enough hand.
It's actually a great classic childhood trauma story. Thank you.
Oh God, yes.
No, so I can see a little moment like that just staying with you and fucking you up for years.
Yes, it made me hate Lutherans, basically. That was funny,
Good to know.
No, I hope you're not a Lutheran, Gary. I hope I'm not hurting anyone's feelings here. David, I don't know about you.
Well, all right, let's get on to our next question, which goes directly to David Sheward.
Okay.
And let's see if somebody the big D. Let's see if you can get on the board with this multiple choice question. March 5th, 1770. 9 British soldiers opened fire on a hostile crowd of colonists, killing 5. Sorry?
I just said, go ahead.
John Adams defended the soldiers, getting 6 of them acquitted using logic, eloquence, and racial attacks on Crispus Attucks, who was the first person killed in this Boston massacre. Speaking of Boston, which of these is false about that fair city?
All right.
A, because Boston University has a bridge over a subway rail, it's the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, riding over a boat. B, you can go for a drink after work, but you gotta pay full price. Happy hour is illegal. C. Fig Newtons were named for the Boston suburb of Newton, Massachusetts? Or D. In 2006, 3 workers at the Bush's canning plant in Chestnut Hill, Tennessee, were killed when a storage tank of Boston baked beans burst. Only one of these is false.
Oh, okay. And one of these is false, huh? The plane and the car and the boat. That sounds real. Wait, so read number A again. Letter
Sure. A is because Boston University has a bridge over a subway line, it's the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, or riding over a boat. Or B, you can go for a drink after work, but you gotta pay full price. Happy hour is illegal.
And Fig Newtons and some people in Tennessee got killed by some beans.
Right.
All right, now so that A is very convoluted. And I'll bet it's not the only place in the world where a plane can fly over a car that flies over a boat. Is that what you're saying? It's the only place in the world where a plane flies over a car, which can fly over a boat.
A plane flies over a subway, over a car, over a
plane flies over.
A plane can fly over a car, riding over a train, riding over a boat. That's the way the question is written.
How can the train be over the boat? There's a plane, and then there's a bridge. So there's a bridge, there's a car on the bridge, and then the bridge is over a subway. But where does the boat come in? I can see the subway train being under the boat because the water would be over the boat. So I'll say A is false.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's also would be 2 A's in a row, but that's fine.
Well, I'm afraid that question took you for a ride, David Short.
Yeah.
It is possible. There's a plane, right? And then bridge, and then an elevated subway, and then, water under it.
Oh, the elevated subway is on the bridge?
No, there's a bridge over the.
There's a bridge, but where's the boat? Where's the water?
Water. The boat is the lowest thing. You can probably get a submarine under the boat. If you really, and then seals.
You have to visualize it, David.
I won't belabor it. Go ahead.
Well, there's Google. There's pictures.
Right.
You can actually see.
Go ahead.
Anywho, we get a steal opportunity from one of our other players. Let's roll the die. Number 1, number 3. Oh, actually, that'd be cool. I could. Gary, you can get on the board because you can steal this question. What is your choice?
So the one that's not true, that's what I'm going for.
You're looking for the one that is not true, correct?
Yeah, the Fig Newton. I forget what letter it is, but
letter C. Fig Newtons were named for the Boston suburb of Newton, Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's my answer. Not true.
Well, I'm afraid that was a figment of your imagination. It is true. Fig Newtons were actually named for Newton, Massachusetts. There's the Oban Lake. Let's get you on the board. Let's get you some points.
Isaac Newton didn't invent the fig Newton after he dropped the apple? He didn't do that, huh?
Well, if he dropped a fig, it would make sense, but no. Okay.
I always, he ran out of apples.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'm left with B is no happy hour and D is Bush's Boston baked beans.
Right.
First.
I don't want to sound racist.
Okay.
Or, well, it's not racist exactly, but I don't want to sound like I have a thing against Boston, and I don't, but I do believe that Boston University, I would be willing to bet that they invented happy hour there. Not that they don't have one, but that they invented it. And I'm basing it on the Saturday Night Live Boston sketches, not because I know much about Boston. I've been there, a lovely city. So I'm going to go with B. There is indeed a happy hour.
Is that your final answer?
Sure. Why not?
Well, ordinarily I would drink to that.
But since there's no happy hour.
Yeah, I've stumped you guys again. In 1984, Michael Dukakis signed a ban on happy hour because too many people were driving drunk after work and causing all these accidents. And it's still in place. You can go for a drink after work, but there can be no discounts. It can't be 2 for 1. It can't be ladies' night stuff. No.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. And it is the false one, by the way, was D, about the canning plant and all that. And that I completely made that up.
No.
Having your week off.
However, what did happen is that in 1919 in Boston, this is horrible, a storage tank of hot molasses burst, killing 21 people in the city. It just became like a flood of molten molasses, and then it like took weeks to clean up. So, yeah, it was a sticky situation, you know. Oh!
Speaking of Fig Newtons, I used to love the commercial where the guy was dressed as a Fig Newton, and he would sing that jingle, and he would always say, "Hit it, Al."
I never saw that in my life. Where did you watch that?
Yeah.
It was just a television commercial.
How old were you?
Like 8.
That's why I don't know what it was. That's why I don't know it. Okay.
Well, again, that's probably something fine. Well, one of the nice things about this program is as soon as Dave's Gone By ends, you've got 10 reasons to go Googling. It's like, seal appearing with. And,
Does Google give you a percentage of every time we go Google something?
No, I really
Is that your...
I really should. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should actually make that happen. What I am going to make happen is give this question to Leslie Blake and see if she can be the first person to get on the board in our Today Yesterday quiz for March 5th, 2022. Leslie, are you ready?
Sure.
And of course, I gotta love this question here. The year was 1805. Premiering tonight at a private party in the home of Prince Joseph Franz von Lobkowitz is Beethoven's Symphony No. 4 in B major, Opus 60. Which of the following is true about Prince Lobkowitz?
Oh, Lefkowitz?
Lobkowitz. Lobkowitz, or CZ, depending on the. Okay. A, he married a relative commoner and they had 3 children, none of whom lived past age 3.
Oh, my Lord.
B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lobkowitz. C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lobkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lobkowitz. Or D,
As a seal.
the Palais Lobkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store.
Oh, Lord.
One of these is true.
What was that last one again, David?
The Palais Lobkowitz in Vienna.
Palais
is now an
Lobkowitz.
Apple store.
Okay.
So one is true, the rest are false.
The rest are false.
All right.
Oh boy, oh boy. But this I get up in the morning on Saturday. All right.
Yeah.
And where's our friend Vicky anyway?
Well, Vicky's our third when we don't have a third.
No, I know. I just wondered where she was. So he married a commoner and had 3 children, none of whom lived past a certain age. Haydn wrote for him, Schubert wrote for him, and he sang the Schubert. Or Lobkowitz is now an Apple store. Is that basically it?
That is absolutely it. Only one of them is
in a
true.
nutshell.
Yeah.
And one of them is false.
No, all three of them are false. One is true.
Oh, one is true. Oh, I'm on the.
Mhm.
It's too early. I have to get up, is what I used to say. I see. It's still true. Okay. One is true.
One is true. Yes.
Well, the Palais Lobkowitz would have had to have been rather small for a Palais to become an Apple store. I mean, that's just a corner of New York real estate in here. How big could an Apple store be? And this is Vienna, right?
Vienna, yes.
Can't imagine it being that big, but okay. Schubert, Haydn. I'm not sure if Schubert and Haydn were contemporaries or not. I'm not that good on this stuff. If he'd married a princess, would the children have lived?
Hard to know.
Just the way my mind works. Never mind. And Beethoven debuted at his place. That was what you began with,
Yeah,
right?
today, 1805 is when.
So we have to have Beethoven, Haydn, and Schubert all being contemporaries for this to work. 1805. Well, I'm going to go with the most pedestrian one for some reason. I'm just going to say he married a commoner and the 3 children did not survive. Wait, which is true.
True.
Which
is true.
Which one is true?
Which is friggin' true. I got to remember which is true. Yeah, I'll say that's true. That the kids didn't live. Kids didn't live much in those days.
Well, I'm going to reverse that tragedy because that untrue, nothing to do with the commoner, and no kids dying or anything like that. So we have a steal opportunity. Let's see who gets it. Roll the die. Nope, number 1.
Aren't you happy you came to this game, Gary? with the giant brains here.
Well, Gary, it should be very happy he came to this game because you have a steal opportunity right now, Gary. I just rolled a number 2. So, which would you choose?
Could you give me the 3 remaining answers?
You betcha. Okay, remaining are, one of these is true about Prince Lefkowitz. B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lefkowitz. C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lefkowitz. Or D, the Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store.
Well, it couldn't possibly be D, or maybe it could, right? It's so absurd. I think Schubert comes later. I think. I already guessed wrong with the Fig Newton.
We all guessed wrong.
So I'm not gonna make that same food mistake again. I'm going with the Apple Store. Final answer.
So the Palais Lefkowitz in Vienna is now an Apple store, is your final answer.
Yeah.
Oh, your answer was rotten to the core. That is not the correct answer. Leslie had it more, I guess, I didn't realize an Apple store was so small, but whatever.
Well,
David,
relatively.
You have a steal opportunity here.
Okay.
You get on the board.
What are the, okay, so it's Haydn and something else.
And
Go ahead.
And Schubert.
Read the whole thing.
Sure. B, Franz Joseph Haydn's final string quartets were commissioned by Lefkowitz, or C, Franz Schubert's birthday cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually sung by Prince Lefkowitz.
Oh, so Haydn was commissioned by Lefkowitz to do his final symphonies, or C, Schubert wrote a cantata for Lefkowitz's birthday and he sang it. Huh. Well, I kind of, and this was, what's the opening about the date and everything?
Well, it was 1805 that Beethoven's Fourth Symphony premiered at Lefkowitz's house. So
I think Haydn and Beethoven were contemporaries, and I don't know about Schubert. Oh dear, which one is true? I'll go with B, Haydn.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
Well, David, there's no point in Haydn. You can come out with 2 points.
Oh, finally.
Finally. That is the answer. Yes. Well done, David Sheward. On the board.
David won last week with, I think, 15,000 points. I don't remember. It was a tremendous number of points that he won.
That's right.
With. The most ever.
That was true. The final string quartets. He didn't finish all 6 of them, but they were commissioned by Lefkowitz. Lefkowitz, nothing about the commoner and the dead kids. As a matter of fact, he married a prince's daughter, and they had 12 children together, most of whom lived a while. On C, the cantata for Prince Lefkowitz was actually a piece written by Beethoven, and Lobby's kids were supposed to sing it to Franz, but he died before they could.
Was that his beloved nickname? They called him Lobby.
Yeah,
we call Victoria Vicky.
Did Sharkey ever perform Haydn's quartets on those horns? You know.
No, he didn't, but he did work with several opera stars.
Oh,
Lawrence Melchior, who else?
Robert Merrill.
oh,
So
Oh, I
you
remember
may,
Robert Merrill.
you may remember Robert Merrill.
oh, sure.
Sharkey worked with Merrill in the 40s when
I
Merrill
don't
was.
remember him in the 40s, but you know.
No, but but Merrill's career went into the 70s, and
Yes.
you may remember he would sing the national anthem at Yankee games.
Oh, cool.
Wasn't he married to a beautiful woman, also an opera singer named Roberta Peters?
Oh, that I couldn't tell
Was
you.
that Robert Merrill? I think that was Robert Merrill.
I remember Roberta Peters. I don't know if they were.
I think they were married at some point. I don't know why I think that.
Oh,
I remember-
by the way,
The way my mind works, I'm telling you, on a Saturday morning, I have no idea where
Yes,
these
I remember
brain
Robert Merrill.
farts come from.
that's
They're
one
brain
good show.
farts. That's what
On
they
the,
are.
So,
Like that.
but to finish off that last question, I do want to say that, and you guys will appreciate this especially, the Palais Lefkowitz is now part of the Vienna Museum of Art History, and in that palace, it's the theater museum for Vienna.
Oh,
So if you ever go there, that is like a
yeah,
beeline.
right. I'm going tomorrow. That was my plan. It was next week. It's my visit.
Vienna waits for you, as Billy Joel would sing. So
I've been
here's the-
watching Vienna Blood. Has anybody else been watching Vienna Blood on Channel 13?
what
I
is
think
it?
I saw one episode.
I love it. I'm finding it fascinating. Anyway,
I'm sorry, real quick.
it's
what-
about a student of Freud, a young student of Freud. It's back in 1900s. It's a young student of Freud who works with a police inspector, and they solve crimes together.
Oh,
And it's much better than I made it sound.
that sounds like something Joyce would really enjoy, actually. So,
Yeah, Joyce, take a look at it. They've also got an early, what are those people called? The coroner. They've also got an early coroner.
I'm watching
Okay.
the Anna Sorkin one.
Yeah.
Anna,
Joyce is watching. Is it on Peacock or what's that on? Or is that
I
on?
think it's on Netflix.
Oh yeah. There's one about inventing Anna.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was wonderful. I binge watched that. I watched because you mentioned it, David, and I went off and binge watched it. It was great.
It's killing
The
it.
Inventing Anna one.
Anyhow,
That was you who mentioned it, wasn't it, David?
David or who?
David Sheward.
Oh, you
You
mentioned.
were the one who mentioned Inventing Anna, yes?
Maybe,
Could have been.
The one about that young girl who fooled all of New York.
maybe. I could have.
I'm trying to give you credit, Dave, and you're not
I could
taking
have.
it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, now, it's time to begin, the second round of our Yesterday quiz on this March 5th, 2022. We have David Sheward in the lead with 2 points, but Gary, you can get on the board now if you get this question right. But this is not your typical multiple choice or fill-in question. Guess what it's time for? 3 clues in the news. 3 clues in the news. So this is how this works, Gary. I'm going to mention 3 separate words. These words are not connected to each other. Each of these words is connected to the word that we are looking for, that you have to come up with. So if I were to say couch or sweet, let's say, and you think, well, couch blank or sweet, oh, potato, right? Or blank, it could be blank word or word blank. Each of these 3 words is connected to the word we're looking for. And the word we're looking for is related to something that happened in the news this week. Okay? You seem thoroughly perplexed, or you think you got this?
No, let's have at it.
Let's have at it. The words are civil, Jack, credit.
The middle one, Jack.
Yes, civil,
Oh, civil.
Jack, credit.
Phew. In the news this week, there's a word that ties those together.
Right. The words are not tied to each other in that way. Each word is tied to the word that you're looking for.
Okay.
So it could
So-
be blank, or this blank, or blank that.
Phew. I'll go with unrest.
Is that your final answer?
The only answer I can come up with.
Well, that's a really good answer, but you won't be resting easy because it is not the correct answer. We're gonna roll
I
the
had a
die.
feeling.
Let's roll this die and see who gets the steal, because I think Leslie and David might think they know this one. So let's see.
No,
Oh,
no.
well,
no,
David, sure,
no.
maybe you do because
Oh,
I
okay.
rolled your number 3.
All right, let me see. It can't be war because there's Jack War or Credit War, and it won't be Hammer, Jack, and it wouldn't be Cheese. Credit card, credit, credit. I just have to think outside the box, and the word box is not in here. Civil, and so Gary said unrest.
He said unrest. That is not the correct
Okay.
answer.
War, civil, and it's not disobedience because Jack disobedience doesn't make any sense.
If he's nimble and quick, but yeah.
Jack, Hammer, Jack, carjack, credit, credit. Civil. I'll say, oh gods. Discourse. Jack Discourse, my
Is
friend.
that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, I think you should have chosen that course because it's not the correct answer. Leslie Oban Blake, you've got a steal opportunity here.
See, I have one word that just has been jumping out at me since you said this, and that's jack shit. And I know that's not right, but I had to say it just the same. Okay. That being said, past
The
that.
appropriate
Okay.
word for my show, so
I just had to say it.
It could be it.
You know it. Just think, you know it.
Thank you for all the words it wasn't, David. I appreciate you taking all of those away.
You know what it is. Don't overthink it.
I know, but nothing came at me except Civil War and jack shit. I mean, neither one of those is, they're not together anyway.
Actually, no. Lincoln was saying, he was saying to us, this Civil War is jack shit, and he's on record saying that.
And Jack Discourse sounds like that famous English actor, doesn't it? Jack Discourse. I don't know why it just sounds like that. I am Swedes. No, credit Swedes. No. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna hazard a guess. I know nothing.
All right. Well, if you don't know the answer and you just want to pass, remember you can just say Sharkey.
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 The answer is Sharkey.
Jack
Absolutely.
Well, again, Gary, especially, like sometimes it either comes to you
Can I say
or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Joyce got it within like 5 seconds of my saying it. Joyce, well, let me read the words.
Yeah.
Civil,
Yeah.
Jack, credit.
Union.
Oh, Union.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Union Jack.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Very good. Very good.
I get it.
Civil
Very
Union.
good choice. I got it too, but I didn't get it in
Why
time. Okay.
was that in the news?
Right.
Because why was it in the news?
Because the Soviet Union is rearing its ugly head.
Oh, I didn't think of that. No, and also, but that's also good. But Biden's State of the Union address.
Oh, right.
Oh, State of the Union. Oh, yes. All right. Oh, that.
Wow,
Oh,
that's
that.
stumping
Okay.
everybody today. Oh, this is a
Hey,
day.
David mentioned a Jack Sharkey. So I should just point out that there was a Jack Sharkey.
There was a Jack Sharkey, right?
He was a heavyweight boxer,
Oh.
and he did work with Sharkey the Seal.
Oh.
Is there a picture of that in the book?
Did they think that was fun because the both
Sharkey
named
is
Sharky?
Yeah, it's right. Sharkey and Sharkey. No, it was they worked together.
Sharkey
in,
is like the
Manhattan.
Sharky's like the 6 degrees of separation, you know.
It's
Now, this was your father or your grandfather who was involved with Sharkey?
great grandfather.
The
Great grandfather.
he's like the Kevin Bacon of the animal world.
No, exactly.
Do seals eat bacon or are they only fish? Are they pescatarians or do they?
Fishes, they like to stay in the fish lane. Yeah.
Well, where would they ever find bacon in the wild, David? I mean, you know.
Well,
it's
bears
not-
swim in the ocean. You could have like a dead bear in there, and they could go I don't know.
Gary, I just wanted to ask you: was your great grandfather in vaudeville?
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
So
they.
my grandparents might very well have worked on a bill with Sharkey because they definitely worked on the bill with seals. They just
Oh,
didn't know
really?
their names.
Really?
But-
Yeah, they were.
Remind us, what were they? Were they no? Weren't Hobans? What were their names? What?
Their name was Hoban and Kelly.
Okay.
I showed you a picture of them once. My great grand my
Gary has
my
a skin.
grandparents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were in vaudeville, and the name was the act was Hoban and Kelly. But there were so many different acts, and the fact that my grandmother mentioned that there were seals, she didn't ever tell me a name. She
Mm.
just told me stories about, seals getting
Yeah.
loose, or seals in the water, or the tub of water falling over, stuff like that,
You sure they weren't just mailing out promos using Easter seals? Because that could have been.
Oh.
Oh.
Nope.
No. It's 11 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, Eastern time here in the neighborhood. We're playing the Today, Yesterday trivia quiz with our wonderful contestants, Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward, and author Gary Bohan Jr. So far, we have David Sheward on the board with 2 points. Gary and Leslie not yet on the board, but anything can happen.
Amazing, David, isn't it?
As we move on. But here's the deal. David, the question is yours.
Okay.
So you could jump to 4 points if you can.
Alrighty.
It's a multiple choice. Are you ready?
Yes.
The year was 1849.
Mm-hmm.
Sworn in as America's 12th president today is Zachary Taylor, who served 16 months in office before getting an intestinal ailment that put him on the toilet and then in the ground. Most reporters say that Taylor died shortly after overeating these 2 items together.
Oh.
What were they? A, cherries and milk. B, salt pork and cheese. C, meat jerky and wine. D, wild turkey and peach pie.
Okay, wait a minute. Cherries and milk, salt pork and cheese.
Yep.
Meat
jerky and wine.
Jerky and wine.
Or wild turkey, not wild turkey and peach pie.
Wild turkey and peach pie. All right. I'm just going to go with my gut and go with cherries because for some reason that just strikes me as potentially deadly. Cherries and milk.
Final answer?
Yeah. What the hell?
Well, David Sheward, you should feel really cheery because cherry is the right answer. He ate a bunch of cherries and iced milk, and then he just went that night. He wasn't feeling well at all, and he spent the next couple of days with diarrhea and misery and dropped dead. So there you go. That was the end of Zachary Taylor. Who would figure cherries and milk would go?
And he was succeeded by, who was his vice president?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Fillmore? Didn't Fillmore coming after him, I think?
I'm not sure.
See, I don't actually know anything. I get the information, and if it's not on my sheet of stuff.
I think maybe it was Noah Fillmore. That was the movie Amistad, so.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'm not sure.
And Nigel Hawthorne played Fillmore.
Now, Leslie Hoban Blake, it's time for your next question. Now, David Sheward is in the lead with 4 points, which is not insurmountable, but it can be tough. You can get 2 points here if you get this question. And guess what, Leslie? Guess what kind of question it is?
Oh no! Don't tell me it's the 3 in the news.
3 clues.
Is it? Oh dear! I used to be good at those, and now I'm bad at them. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, you might get this one. And remember, it's 3 words not connected to each other, but connected to a word that is in the news. Are you ready?
No.
The words are night.
With a K or just plain night?
Just plain night.
Thank you.
With an N, okay?
Night.
Circuit. Kangaroo.
Okay, I believe the word is court.
Is that your final
Yeah.
answer?
Yeah, court.
Well, you have won this court case, Leslie Hoban Blake.
Yeah.
I knew when I put in kangaroo, it might be a little too easy, but had to do it. It just so.
No, I had it between night and circuit, believe it or not. Kangaroo just pegged it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It either comes or it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I figured it out too.
Yeah. And what about you, Gary? Did you kind of get that one? Did that work for you?
My lips are sealed.
My lips are sealed. Get it? I get it. And by the way, why that word this week?
The Supreme Court, the Biden appointed, I forget her name, to this.
Supreme Court Justice.
Nominated her.
I didn't even think of that. Thank you. And why else? That specifically you, David, and Leslie would know, although the spelling's a little different.
About
because
Trump?
the court theater will be renamed to the James.
James Earl Jones, right.
Well done. Good job. Good job.
I wouldn't have thought of that though because of the spelling, so it wouldn't have even occurred to me, you know.
But Leslie, you are on the board now. You have 2 points. David has.
I am. I'm on the board. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
My life has meaning.
Yes. Again, my life has meaning again. Yes. Okay.
Just before we all die from nuclear toxins spewing from Russia, we find the meaning of life in this
Please,
show.
I know.
Yeah.
Why are those idiots going to meetings when they know all he has to do is blow dust on them or give them water with some kind of, uranium?
Well,
shit? I wouldn't go anywhere near those people while they're bombing. It's crazy.
they
I'm
have
sorry.
to try to save their people. The negotiations would be like at least.
Negotiations don't go on while the war is going on. Negotiations go on during a truce.
Well,
That's the way it works historically.
Russia has no
None of
reason
this
to
works
call it truth.
historically.
yeah. Well, what can they do?
They can say fuck you, but I mean it's ridiculous.
They should have a Zoom meeting. They could do it by Zoom, or Google Meet.
Yes.
Or
Exactly.
Russian, they should do
Exactly.
Google Meet. Yeah. Anyway,
Exactly.
we're moving on to the next round of our Today Yesterday quiz. So again, we start with Gary. Gary, this is the first question of the third round. It is a multiple choice. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. The year was 1853. After 20 years building musical instruments in Germany, Steinway and Sons opens in Manhattan. So which of these is false about Steinway and their pianos? A, in 1859, the company's least expensive piano cost $275. B, in the late 1800s, Steinway helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles. C, the Juilliard School of Music is officially designated as an all-Steinway school. Or D, when Steinway went public in 1996, they chose the stock symbol LVB for Ludwig van Beethoven. One of these is false.
So it's my turn.
Yes, Gary, yes.
Okay. I think the one that's false is A, the first one, $275, the least expensive. I would think that once you factor in inflation, that number sounds too high to me. So I'm going with A.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Well, musically, I'm afraid that's a rather discordant answer. That is not. I mean, it was true that was the cheapest piano back then.
A trained seal could have done a better job at these. Okay.
Any particular train seal in mind there, Gary?
Sharkey.
Does Sharkey have like babies?
Sharkey.
Like Sharkey descendants?
That's a great question, Gary. Did he's put out the stud? Did he have like Sharkettes or something, or little Sharky?
No, it was at the time. The training facility was an all-male institution.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Did
as
he ever get to mate ever?
no, Sharkey did not. There were others,
Oh.
but as one of the trainers said, very chauvinistically, have women around and you're bound to have trouble.
So
Yeah.
a version of that would have been the seals in the band.
Well,
I was going to say maybe that's what happened.
There's the
Seals in the
Sharky and the
band.
Butler. There was something going on between the.
Come
Right.
on.
Anywho, it was, or maybe anytime they went to a fancy restaurant with Sharky, you'd see a waiter in a tux, and Sharky would be like, "Hello, that looks familiar." So anywho, I don't know. I was going somewhere where that didn't work.
I know.
I was
and
thinking
you never arrived. Let's go.
I was thinking of the trained seal reference in Long Day's Journey into Night, where where James Tyrone Jr. says he mocks his father by saying, a trained seal is more of an actor than you.
Ouch.
Hmm.
Ouch. Okay. Although, I apologize to Sharkey and to all.
I was gonna say that's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, David Short.
Sharkey will take umbrage.
Yes.
Would have taken
You,
umbrage.
you
Okay.
get to steal,
Okay.
if you can, this question.
All right,
And
read
you're
the
gonna-
question again.
Sure. 1853 was the year. This is the day Steinway and Sons opens in Manhattan. Which of these is not
True. Okay.
about them and their pianos? B, in the late 1800s, Steinway helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles. C, the Juilliard School of Music is officially designated as an all Steinway school. Or D, when Steinway went public in 1996, they chose the symbol LVB for Ludwig van Beethoven.
LVB.
LVB, Ludwig van Beethoven.
All right. So which of these is not true?
Right.
And B was in the 1800s. Mercedes. They made
In
parts
the
for
late
Mercedes.
1800s, Steinway helped build parts for Mercedes automobiles.
I don't think Mercedes. Well, maybe. I don't know. When was the automobile invented? I don't think it was quite then. I'll say. You know what? I'll say B.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Sorry to drive you crazy, but I'm afraid that is not the correct.
Oh, okay.
Apparently
All right.
it helped. So
So it falls to me, and there's nothing about Steinway and Astoria where the piano factory still is to this day. None of that, and why Steinway Street in Queens is
Oh, I
called
didn't
Steinway
realize
because
that.
of the Steinway.
Didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, all of that.
well, no,
Is
I remember
true.
somebody asked me the other day, what's a Steinway? And I said, about 800 pounds for a good one. But yes, thank you.
So I'm left with
About
Juilliard
$1.50
or
a
LVB. Okay,
About $1.50 a pound.
Oh,
right.
What's a Hemingway? Oh, about
yeah.
About as much as a tuna.
Yeah.
And did you know that Steinway's real name was Steinweg, and they changed it to be less
Oh,
when they came to America? But yeah.
so
Okay.
which one is false? That Juilliard is an all Steinway school, or that LVB is?
Their
Excuse me.
stock symbol, Gesundheit.
All right.
God bless. I would think that you'd want your own initials on your stock somehow, even though, I mean, Beethoven is not the only person ever to have played a piano. So I'm going to go with the false one is D.
Oh, good point.
Is that your final? Oh, wait, hold on one
Look,
second.
look, it's White Fang.
Here's. Oh my goodness! I'm doing more stumping than bombs in World War I with.
Wow. So it was
Yes.
Juilliard, huh?
Where I'm going. Yeah, the answer is, out of Juilliard's 260 pianos, 248 are Steinways, but that means they're not officially designated, like Yale is an all Steinway school.
Okay.
And there are about 100 other colleges and universities that are all Steinway. So that was the correct.
So that's 2 A's and 2 C's, David, right?
No, I've got 1 C. I've got A, D, B, A, C.
I have ADC.
Oh, I haven't even. Let's see. Let me,
There's no point to this. We try to detect a pattern, and it never
I know. No, we didn't. David started it, and I fell into it because it seemed like there might be
But we got
something
nothing
to
better
it.
to do.
We told David, we told Lefkowitz about it, and
It's
now
like-
it doesn't work anymore.
It's like when my husband takes me to a baseball game. The only way I can stay interested is if I write down all the stats.
Right.
well, you gotta enjoy the play. I'm hoping it's a good revival. Take me out. If you don't like baseball,
I don't care about that. It's all the naked men in the showers I want to
Yeah.
look at. That's,
All right, so we're up to number
Richard
8.
Greenberg was my dad's neighbor and was a very nice
Oh.
man to my father. Very
Oh,
nice.
really?
Who?
The playwright.
Richard
Oh.
Greenberg has a duplex on West 22nd at 9th Avenue. My dad was right above him.
Oh.
And Richard would always stop over because my dad lived alone, and he lived a very long time. And my father considered himself a writer. He started to write at the age of 80, and
Wow.
he had a self-published book, and he took a copy of his self-published book to Richard. He said, "I know you're a writer. I want to give you this." And Richard read the book, or read some of it, and commented, and was very sweet. And after that, they always talked, and it was very nice for my dad, because my dad, did not make friends easily.
Leslie, you seem to know, your dad seems to have known more people than Sharkey.
Well, today, this morning, as it happens, just
Yeah.
not for
Leslie,
real. but-
aren't you? I always thought you were related to Russell Hoban, the writer, aren't you, or no?
No, I'm not. No.
No relation.
No.
Oh,
And not Phoebe Hoban and not any of the other Hobans.
So a
No,
whole
no
different-
relation. Except my grandparents who were in vaudeville, except Hoban and Kelly.
Oh.
That's the
Wait.
only Hoban.
they were
Now,
the
Sharkey
Hoban.
did have a lot of writers that wrote about him,
Oh.
theater critics and the
Really?
like. Yeah, Walter Winchell, Dorothy Kilgallen. Those are probably
Oh.
names you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Dorothy wrote about Sharkey all the time. Burns
Did he ever-
Mantle.
Did he ever go on What's My Line?
He did not. No.
Oh.
That would have been fun.
could've
Burns
been the mystery
Mantle. I
guy.
have that collection, the Burns
He could've
Mantle
been-
collection.
could've
Wow.
Yeah,
been the mystery
he was the Daily News theater critic. Yeah.
Right.
So they all had something to say about Sharkey.
Oh wait, Sharkey was the Daily News theater critic.
No, Burns Mantle was.
Burns
Oh.
Mantle was.
So what'd you
That
think of
would've been
Long Day's
fun.
Journey into Night?
He
I
would-
love the mention.
He would be much better than Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I don't know.
So now I understand your reference when we started today, when I came on, when you were talking about the Hamlet that he was doing. Now I
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, here we go. Time for our next question in our third round of our yesterday quiz, which goes directly to David Stewart. Now, David, you're in front by 2 points. So, if you get this, it's going to be basically the game. If you get this right. So here's
Okay,
the
ready.
What, Leslie?
I'm sorry, where are we?
We're
This
number-
is David's
question
question.
number 8.
David is first, so this is the beginning of the third round.
No, in the
No,
middle of the third round.
Gary was first. I'm second. You're third.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Up to
Sorry.
question number 8.
Remember, it goes 3, 6,
Thank you.
9, and then
I'm glad somebody's here to keep me. I have no idea. Thank you. It's all just a blur.
David Stewart, one more. Oh, thank you so much. One
Good
more
job.
multiple choice question. for
Okay.
you. The year was 1936.
Okay.
8th Academy Awards.
Ah.
Mutiny on the Bounty, with 8 nominations, wins only one, but that one is Best Picture.
Okay.
Speaking of Bounty, which of these is true about paper towels?
Thought it was going to be an Oscar question. Damn it.
Oh,
Okay,
It's
paper
certainly
towel.
not. A, the model for the original Brawny Man on Brawny paper towels was Monty Python Come to Life, a gay lumberjack. B, they were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. C, using select-the-size paper towels doesn't actually reduce your carbon footprint because people just end up using more sheets. Or D, since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
Wait, now which of these is false or which of these
No.
is true?
Only one of these is true.
All right, now I don't quite understand the first one. Are you saying that the model
For the
or the
original
the guy who posed for that picture happens to be gay? Is that what you're saying?
a gay lumberjack.
Oh, so not just an actor dressed as a lumberjack, but a gay lumberjack.
Yeah.
So the question is, which of these is true or false?
Which of these is true?
All right, I think that's false. I think that's false. That's too ridiculous. So B is the toilet paper.
Right. That paper towels were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. C, using select-the-size paper towels doesn't actually reduce America or your carbon footprint because people just end up using more sheets. Or D, since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
So which of these is true?
Right.
I think it's C because I think it is true that people do use more paper towels, even if they're smaller selections, because that's what I do. So I'm going to say C.
Final answer?
Yes.
En español, C is no.
Oh,
No. Sorry, I made that up.
okay.
Nope. So
right.
we have a steal opportunity. We still have a game here, and it comes up, Gary. Gary, I get a bit steamy number 2 for you.
Okay.
Let's see if you can steal this question.
Yeah, just if you could give me the 3 remaining answers.
Sure. Okay. Which of these is true about paper towels? A, the model for the original Brawny Man on Brawny paper towels was, like Monty Python Come to Life, a gay lumberjack. B, they were invented when the head of a paper company plant repurposed unusable toilet paper. Or D, Since 2017, the official motto of Scott Paper Towels is matching your busy lifestyle.
I'm going to go with the one about repurposing toilet paper.
You're going to say that that one is
True.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
You know, I don't have special effects. I probably do. But if I did and I was using movie effects, I would use a wipe. Because that is correct answer!
Oh.
Gary, you're on the board! You got somebody. Ah! Squish, 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 squish. Yes. That actually happened.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It was too thick and it wasn't perforated properly. They weren't going to junk like thousands of rolls of toilet. So they said, oh, you know, we'll just have disposable paper towels. And that really is how paper.
And I am the opposite of you, David Stewart. I love the selector size because I definitely can use a smaller piece.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I want to just take a little.
And not go back for a second one. It's a mental thing. You know.
Sure. I'm trying to eat an apple while doing the show here.
Everything I do is a mental thing.
Yes,
I know.
Here's the truth. The designer of the Brawny Man was a guy named John Soley, and he used his own son to model for the thing and put on the jacket or put on the lumberjack shirt. And Scott Towell's motto, I kind of love this because this is more ridiculous than the one I came up with. Common sense on a roll.
Okay. Yeah.
If you look on Scott Paper Towel, common sense on a roll.
That's what I have for lunch every day.
I rather have lots on a roll, I'll tell you that. Oh, anywho, look at this. We have, my goodness, a game that could be really a game here because David is ahead with 4 points, but both Gary and Leslie have 2 points, and we have one question left before the tiebreaker. So if either David either Gary or Leslie gets this question right, we'll have a tie, which is
no, because David has already won. The tiebreaker's an extra.
No. If one of you gets 4, then we'll have then the tiebreaker will be real.
Yeah. Is this my question? Did I miss a question?
No, this is your question.
Oh, I have a question, and then we have the tiebreaker.
Yes. We're not up to the tiebreaker yet.
I'm sorry. Okay, I misunderstood what David said, as usual.
Well, here's the thing. If you get this right, Leslie, you're tied. If you get it wrong,
okay, got it. Now, yes, of course. Yes, I understand that. No pressure here. Okay, go.
Now, Gary would like this one, but this is for Leslie first. The year was 1960. Marine biologist Alistair Hardy makes public his long-held theory that humans evolved from ancestors that weren't necessarily what Darwin had in mind. What is the commonly accepted name for Hardy's theory? A, the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis. B, Theoretica Oceana. C, the Theory of Appendaged Ocean Life, Parts 1 through 3. Or D, Proposition on the Emergence of Homo sapiens from Proto-sapiens.
You have to give all of that one more time. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, sure. So which of these was the name commonly accepted for Alistair Hardy's theory? A, the Aquatic Ape Hypothesis. B, Theoretica Oceana. C, the Theory of Appendaged Ocean Life, Parts 1 through 3. Or D, Proposition of the Emergence of Homo sapiens from Proto-sapiens.
Okay, given how dull these things usually are, and they're usually papers, and I think I remember something about this vaguely. I'm going to say Homo sapiens and Proto-sapiens.
Is that your final answer?
Well, if I understand what Proto-sapiens are, yes, but I may not. So there we go. Okay.
Well, your secrets are safe with me, Leslie. That is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. So this is a big one. This is a big roll. David, you could take this right here, or Gary could tie if it goes.
David's already got it. Gary, we got to get you to tie.
Here we go. It comes up with a number 2. Gary, you can steal. You can actually tie David if you get this right.
Oh, okay. I thought it was David's turn. All right.
No, it's
Well,
whoever,
it's a steal opportunity.
however the roll comes up.
Yeah.
Okay,
It came up with your number too.
I got you.
In
So
numbers
the-
update.
Oh, I mean, I gotta get this one, right? How can I not?
Do it for Sharkey. Yes.
Okay, and one of these is
Sharkey, right?
true, and one of the first one, I'm thinking it's not gonna be some fancy schmancy theory. It's gonna be, what was aquatic
The
ape or
Aquatic
something?
Ape Hypothesis, B. Theoretica Oceana, or C. The Theory of Appendaged Ocean Life, Parts 1 through 3.
I'm going with A, aquatic ape.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Oh, Gary, I'm so sorry to be monkeying around with you, but that is right! That's the game! Oh my god! Oh my god! It's a tie! Oh!
Aquatic ape theory?
The Aquatic Ape Hypothesis. That's the actual name.
Aquatic ape hypothesis? That sounds like a horror movie. From
And
the
actually, I'm sorry, you're right.
1950s.
You're right, David. It was also called the Aquatic Ape Theory and the Waterside Hypothesis. The idea was that humans are closer to actual fish things also.
But our lungs are not water. We can't breathe in water.
Yeah, but
It's
some
about those little creatures that grew legs. It was that stage between, as opposed to making them get all the way to apes, it was when they grew those little legs that we can go back that far. That's what it was. I mean, I remember, the basic of it, but I had no idea what the title was.
the Aquatic Ape
Good
Hypothesis.
for you. Good for you, Gary.
Very good. That's so
Gary,
weird.
this is unbelievable. This is incredible. Now, all three of you play the tiebreaker, but it really is a tie between David Sheward and our new friend of the neighborhood, our guest, Gary Bohan Jr. So, Gary, do you have a writing implement and a scribble onto implement?
I do.
So this is how this works, Gary. Our tiebreaker, all three of you answer, but you're not going to say the answers. You're going to write down. It's a fill-in. It's not a multiple choice. And then I'll read the question one more time. I'll give 3, 2, 1, and you will hold up to the camera your written answer. And that
You
way-
write it big enough to see on the camera.
Yep.
Big and clear. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Sure.
And Gary, no fair consulting with Sharkey or any seals on this. You have to get it yourself. Here we go.
Okay, you got it.
The year was 1936. Born today in Los Angeles to parents who were performers is this child actor turned grown-up actor. His off-screen activities included starring on Broadway in Compulsion, marrying the actress who played Anne Frank in the George Stevens movie, and designing the album cover for Neil Young's American Stars and Bars. Can you make a leap and name that actor?
Okay.
Bird's got it. Leslie's thinking. I think Leslie may have it.
Do your music. You need your music.
I don't even have my question thing. Oh, I forgot to put up the all-important prop. We spent like thousands of dollars on this thing. Where is it? Hold on.
New potato?
Oh, we have a new potato today, by the way. There he is. But no.
Do you actually have a shelf full of potatoes, David? Or do you throw out the old potatoes when they get old and you buy a new one?
Oh, don't be throwing me out. I'm a good potato. Oh, please.
No, Leslie, I have.
Oh, that,
a shelf
okay.
full of
Oh,
potatoes.
But
please.
now you see the new Batman movie is out, so that just looks like the Riddler symbol.
No, don't be hurting me, sir. I'm a good potato, I am.
Oh, well, you have appeal. Okay. Gary,
Oh,
you written down.
you're hurting me. You're hurting me, sir.
So, how are we doing, Gary? You got
Uh,
some.
Okay.
Do you
I
have
don't think
enough to share, David? It's not nice to eat if you don't have enough to share.
No, you just
No, it's okay.
Yes.
I'm being-
get some through the
The apple doesn't fall far. But here we go. Here's Like, if I wasn't eating this apple, Leslie, I would literally be asleep in front of you. It's kind of like instant sugar, like help. So here's the deal, Gary. If you get this right, you win. David, sure. If you get this right, you win. Leslie, I just hope you get this right. And it would kind of be a four-way tie, but we don't play it like that. But here's the question one more time, and then I'll count 3, 2, 1, and everybody hold up your answers to the camera. The year was 1936. Born today in Los Angeles to parents who were performers is this child actor turned grown-up actor. His off-screen activities included starring on Broadway in Compulsion, marrying the actress who played Anne Frank in the George Stevens movie, and designing the album cover for Neil Young's American Stars and Bars. Can you make a leap and name that actor? 3, 2, 1. I see David Sheward with Dean Stockwell. I see Charlton Heston, and I see Leslie. Can you? Oh, I think you're holding up Dean Stockwell as well. Are you? Whoa,
Yeah.
boy! Oh boy, Gary. I'm afraid you missed it on this one.
I knew I missed it, but
It was in fact Dean Stockwell.
I didn't know he married her.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I
Yeah,
just saw her on an old episode of Heart to Heart. I didn't know that he married her.
Yeah. What was her name?
Millie Perkins.
Thank you. Yes, Millie Perkins, right? And so, and I think she still might be alive.
Probably.
Stockwell died a couple of months ago. Actually.
Right.
He
Right.
was on Quantum Leap, of course.
I loved him. The boy with the green hair. I loved him.
That was the
The
leap.
boy with the green
Leap,
hair.
Quantum Leap, yeah. I
And
threw
the
that
Leap,
in there too. Yeah.
And he was
And
in the
also-
Magic Garden. What was the Secret Garden? He was in all of those
Was
movies.
it? And one of my favorite all-time films, Paris, Texas. If you've never seen it, it's one of the great.
Yes.
And in the
Yes.
film version of Long Day's Journey into Night.
Oh, he was
Yes.
he Jamie or was
Yes.
he
No, he was Edmund.
Edmund? Oh wow,
Wow.
cool.
And Jason Robards repeated his Broadway performance as Jamie.
Well, you have repeated your
Excellent. Congratulations,
Thank
David.
you.
winning the Today Yesterday quiz.
you.
Congratulations.
Now my life has meaning.
So, David Sheward, because you won, you get the great honor of telling us first what you're up to. What we can read of yours. Oh, that's from. Rocky
That's the
Horror.
fairy from Fractured Fairy Tales.
Yay.
What
What can we read of yours? Yeah.
Well, I have on the blog and on Theater Life just some news reports about the James Earl Jones Theater being named. And there's a new Broadway show called POTUS with an all-female cast coming out of nowhere, which just what's going on. And my reviews of The Hang and English at Atlantic Theater Company.
So those are written and people can read your reviews.
Yes.
Okay.
No, they're out of my head and I just, flash them mentally. No, I'm joking. And
That day will come, right?
yes, and I did just a little update on what films I've seen that have been nominated for Oscars. I'm trying to see as many in the categories as possible.
Every week we keep asking you about Licorice Pizza. Have you seen the damn thing yet or not?
Not yet. I did see Spencer last night. So now I've seen all the acting nominees. I've seen all the.
Yeah. How was it?
I've seen-
For hire or what? No.
It was weird. It's about Kristen Stewart plays Princess Diana, and it's a weird movie. It's. I thought she was terrible. To give it, like I'm having a nervous breakdown. All right, I'm having a nervous breakdown, Mom. Don't shoot me. Well, that's the wrong accent, but never mind.
I was going to say, but okay.
All right.
Given your multiplicity of accents. I have nothing. Charlie was in orientation all week.
Oh, yeah, he's got this new job.
I
Congratulations.
don't know if he's gone to the theater. He has been absolutely off the radar. So I haven't even heard from him. I don't know what's going on.
Got it. But people can watch older.
But I'm going back to the theater. I'm starting
great.
Monday. I'm going to put out feelers and try to get into as much as I can.
Ooh, that sounds dirty.
I know.
I'm putting out feelers and getting into as much as I can.
Septimus
Ooh.
does it all the time. See, it's like here's one, there's two.
Yep, that's it.
Now, Gary Bohan, we know what you are writing. We know what you have written. And we know that SUNY Press has published Sharkey, When Sea Lions Were Stars of Show Business, 1907 and 1958, all about your great-grandpa training Sharkey and other performing seals for.
It doesn't say who that actress is somewhere in the intro or on the frontispiece or any place.
No, I tried. I could not identify that actress.
That's just
Okay.
a photo you happen to have?
Yes, yeah, it was a
Yeah, I
publicity
can't see
shot.
it close enough to really get her face.
Did you have to
Here
get
she
any
is without
photos?
Sharkey.
Oh,
Did you have
and
to
he
get any
smoked a
photos?
pipe. Look at that.
Did you get photos from like Photo Fest or any of those services? Or those?
I did, yeah, I did get some photos from some photo services. I got a couple from the New York Public Library,
Oh, okay.
some colleges, and
To all
That's-
authors, make sure you have a budget for photos before you publish.
yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, a lot of people were generous and gave me permission gratis, and so it
David
wasn't too
knows
bad.
whereof he speaks, because David has written, of course, a biography of George C. Scott that was called what? Remind me.
Rage and Glory, the volatile life and career of George C. Scott.
Published by whom? Because people can still
Applause.
Applause Theater
Oh, okay.
Books.
Yeah.
Does
And-
Applause still exist, David?
I don't know.
Just curious.
Okay. Applause books. Yeah. Applause. You were talking about Burns Mantle before. Applause took on that whole series for a few years.
Well,
Books
at
of-
that-
again, I'm going to say something you're all going to get upset about. My father had the complete set of Burns Mantle. What he didn't actually own originally, he went out and found at the Strand, and he put out feelers. It was before you could buy things online, and he managed to put together a whole set. And I sold it to the, except for the duplicates, which I kept, I sold it to the Drama Bookshop.
Good.
It's probably part of that, gigantic thing that they made out of books.
Why
I'm
would
really
that?
upset about that.
Why would that upset us?
It upsets me. Because no, because I've been mentioning my father all morning,
Oh,
and,
no.
and there again, I'm mentioning my father. But it upsets me that they would do that to books. That's all.
Well, no, I gotta say, I had the whole set. I had the Burns Mantle because I wrote the intros for 3 of them actually. back
Oh,
in the-
wow! I did not know that, David.
David's book is on the list. It's still listed on the website. Yeah.
Oh, David Short's book about George is still on the Applause Cinema website.
Theater and Cinema website. Yeah.
But
I guess there still is an applause. Okay, that
in
answers 2
Colorado.
questions.
I mean, it's I had to junk it and sell. Yeah, I literally from the early 1900s. It killed me to get rid of
I
it.
sent you a note. I probably won't see you next week. I'm going to be visiting I'm going to be away.
Well, enjoy. If that changes, let us know.
Okay.
But thank you for participating today, Leslie Hoban Blake, in our Today Yesterday quiz. Also to David Sheward, wishing you a very
Congrats.
fine week. And
Thank you.
welcome and thank you so much to our new friend and almost winner, not winner today, but almost winner, did very well for a
Did
new
very well.
Yes, very good.
Gary,
Thank you.
Gary, I was going to say Hoban. Gary Bohan.
Nice meeting you, Gary.
Likewise, likewise.
Yes,
That was a
very
lot of fun.
nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank
Very
you,
nice.
guys. See you soon. David, I'll see you next week. Leslie in 2 weeks. And we'll see you all in the neighborhood. Give
Okay.
Flipper, no, do seal things while I go.
Good night, Dick. As they used to say on Laughing.
Oh.